Okay, so for this step, it isn't really shown on the slides, but before anything, make sure I really want you guys to hear what I have to say for this because for sketches, there is a reason I didn't make slides, and that's because it's stuff changes really quickly, meaning I would have to create a lot of slides, and we're already at 85, and I'm kind of bummed out, so we're not going to create anymore. So the gusset should look like this when we're done. You can kind of intuitively tell why we need this gusset, right? This 2x1 doesn't magically attach to this 2x1, right? Oh, but there's screw holes here, but also there's no screw holes for this 2x1 to directly connect. So instead we use this technique using gussets. We've used it already. We've used it to attach this load. We use that's okay. I don't have it, but anyway, we used it to connect the motor to the 2x1s, or the motors to the 2x1s. And so we're going to use a similar technique, but instead connecting two 2x1s. But without further ado, we are going to create our gusset. So you want to create a sketch, and now you want to select this plane right here. I believe either of these two faces. Let me check. Either of the two faces should be fine. This is face. Oh yeah. So either two faces is completely fine. Um, I would just select this top face here just for consistency because I'm doing it. So just to avoid any errors, you might as well do it. So now we're going to create a line. So basically the way we create something in a sketch is quite literally you will draw it out with a bunch of lines. You'll just go like this. Oh, and then magically it will, you know, turn into some shape, right? Don't draw this, by the way. I'm just trying to show you that that's how we create things in sketches for the most part. We'll use other things here, but lines are by far the most versatile. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off at the bottom here. You should see this. Um, you should see this right here, and then there should be like a yellow orange outline over the bottom. Basically, that means your line will automatically be constrained or coincidented to this line here. The thing you do want to avoid is you want to make sure there are no vertical symbols. Like if you have a vertical symbol here, that's not good. And you'll see why in a little bit. But then left click once and then drag to the top of the 2x1. See this line up here. Again, make sure you don't want this. This is bad because you see the vertical symbol to a point. However, a vertical symbol by itself with no reference basically just means the line itself is vertical, um, relative to the entire sketch. For the purposes of this, because it's not consistent, right? Because now it's different and this that. Just make sure when you connect it to this line here, the only constraint you see is that coincident constraint, which is that little T-shape constraint that's next to my line. Click on that, and then for sometimes Onshape will not like it will end your line. So if that happens, you want to just click that point where you just finished off of and click that as your first point, so your starting point, and now drag up to basically anywhere along this 2x1. Just make sure it's not the if I can find it. Just make sure it's not the midpoint. We don't want that little dot and then the line between. We don't want the midpoint because then we can't change the height of the gusset. So instead, just anywhere along this line. Again, if your line, what's it called? If your line just ends itself, it doesn't create a new line. Just select line again, which is just L, and then click the ending point of your last line, which is now the starting point of your new line. And then again, you want to connect your line to the left side of this 2x1. A couple things you want to make sure. Ideally, don't have perpendicular. Even it's right now perpendicular means perpendicular to the line I'm about. This is yellow line right here. You also want to avoid a tangent, which will mess up a bunch of things. And then perpendicular to the old line, you also want to put that. So if you see one constraint, that's good. And then now you want to drag your line left of this hole right here, and then to about here. Again, making sure, oh, yeah, making sure there's no other constraints on that line. The other thing you'll notice is now I have an arc. That's because if, and I don't know why I shifted this, but if you have a line, right? I have a line. Now, if I drag my cursor over the tip of this, or the starting point, then it becomes or becomes, yeah, an arc. And if I do it again, it becomes a line. I don't know why Onshape is doing this, but if that happens to you, which will very likely happen, just know that that's all it means. Don't need to worry too much about it. Again, if I drag over this, it creates an arc. To get rid of it, you just drag back over. And so now you want to create a line, or sorry, reference this. Yeah, you want to make your new line coincident to this line again. Again, making sure you to avoid like this kind of vertical where it's referencing another point. Click once on the line, and then now you want to draw. Oh, see, I just had that problem. And now you just want to drag your last line to the first line's starting point. Click. Now you're done. And, or not done, but done with the first part. So now we're going to do a bunch of constraints. So we want to make this vertical. So you just hit V. So this right here, just hit V. Here, you just want to make this horizontal. So just click H. This one, also V. And then now what you're going to do is you first of all make sure this line is right of these three holes. If it's not, like if it's like right here, you just drag it over to be about here. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to take the dimension tool and make sure it's on the right side of this hole. And then you want to click this line, and this is the tangential distance, which is 0.25. We're going to set 0.25. Let's say I think it's 0.2. The reason why I have you do it on the right side, or the side closer to the right side of the circle, or the side of the circle that's closer to this line, is because if I do the left side, right, Onshape will give me this dimension, which is not what we want. We want this dimension. And then exact same process over here. Just make sure this line is already left of these three circles, and then like comfortable distance. Doesn't be huge. And then now same process. Make sure it's on. Make sure your cursor is from the left, coming from the left side, and then, or sorry, you're dimensioning this circle from the left side, and then dimensioning to that line right there, and then again 0.25 inches. So now, if I remember correctly, how tall is it? Oh, so it's 8. So we're gonna make this 8 inches tall. So we're gonna reference from this line to this bottom line. This is 8 inches. And now, for the most part, we're kind of done. We have a couple more things to do. Once you're done with that, good to go. And then you're going to hit extrude. If I do this right now, I hit extrude, you'll notice I have all of these circles I have to fill in, like we did with this 2x1. However, there's a much faster way to do this, which is just to click the sketch, and it'll extrude all of the faces for you. Basically, what that allows you to do is not just one this. Basically, every single face in the sketch will be selected. And actually, a cool trick is, let's say I didn't want this hole specifically. I could actually just select this sketch. So it's faces of sketch tree, not just face. And I could just select this hole. And obviously there's a lot, but yeah, it'll do all of it for you really quickly. That's not what we want. So we're just gonna leave it like this. And then our next step will involve, see, I keep forgetting what we did. This was a while ago. Okay. So we have to go back to our OG sketch. And so now what we're going to do is remember the project convert, or the project construction technique. We're going to use the same thing again. So you want to do that zigzag pattern. So this hole, well, not that zigzag pattern, but a zigzag pattern. Basically these 5 holes in X shape, and then you want to keep going down. So it's like this, like this, like this. If you notice, it's this hole, this hole, this hole, this hole. And you keep repeating this pattern. So then we're just gonna keep going. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Okay, so now I've completed all of these in a zigzag pattern. I didn't want to bore you guys to death. And then now you're going to select these 12 holes, the project construction technique. Um, you guys know how to do it. I'll quickly finish it up. Okay, so once you're done with that, it should look like this. You should see those holes. We want each of the holes on the gusset. And once you're done that, you can click check mark, and then we're going to use select hole, which is again what we did with the gussets, the motor gussets. However, you also do want to make sure you show this sketch because right now I can't click on anything. There's no points for me to select. So you have to make sure you click the little eyeball and then click to show the sketch. And now I can actually use the different parts of the sketch. Think make sure this is set to number 10 if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why it's not number 10 for me. Or is it number 8? I honestly don't remember. These are these look like number 8s. Oh, yeah, number 8. So I don't know why. Yeah, wait, it should be clearance. I don't know why it's not clearance. Uh, is it tab? I don't know. It's typically preset correctly. I'm not sure. For you guys, it should be set correctly. If it's not, it should be. Yeah, okay. Drill just means like a tight fit, but not like a fit that still works. Clearance means it's a very loose fit. Tapped means there's like a threading through it, which obviously is not what we're doing in gusset. So we're just going to select all of these holes, make sure they're cracked. This should be 0.96. I'm not entirely sure why. Or no, it's 201 clearance. Oh, okay. So clearance. Okay, wait, sorry. Clearance number 10. Okay, that's right. Um, should be right. Yeah. Okay. So then there we go. Now we select all of these holes. And here we go. Just to reiterate, make sure it is clearance number 10. Check mark. And then you want to rename this part to so name arm gussets. Something as simple as that. And we're going to go back into sketch 3 and we're going to actually lighten this part, which basically just means reduce material used. Because obviously this entire section here, so like all of this, right? All of this is, if we want to be efficient, it is pretty much waste material or extra weight that we don't need to have. So typically what we do is we just cut out a part of it. So what we're going to do is you can go back into sketch 3 um, and then you are going to take a line from here, create a line from here to the very bottom of this 2x1 all the way to this point right here. So it should look like this. You should have these 3 lines, or this one already exists, but these 2 lines should just now be created. You're going to hit offset, which is pretty cool. And then now you want to select these 3 lines that make up this triangle. You want to drag this inward, if I'm not mistaken. Why did that create 2? Right, okay. Onshape likes to do that. I don't know why. But anyway, this distance should be 0.75. Obviously, it should be inward. If it's outward, by the way, if let's say it was like this by accident, that's fine. You would just change it to a negative value, like I just did there, which just reverses the direction of the dimension. And then, yeah, that's good. And so now you're done with that. Something important to know though is when you create gussets, sharp corners are your enemy. You want to avoid them at all costs, especially what are called internal sharp corners. So this basically internal just means more than 180 degrees, or sorry, less than 180 degrees. Less than, well, okay. Inside, like this would be inside because this is creating a shape inside. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to fillet it. We're going to select fillet. Purposes of this, we can, I think it's just an eighth of an inch, if I'm not mistaken. Check real quick. So it should just be Yeah, okay, so it is just an eighth of an inch. As you can tell though, yeah, you are going to select these corners here, which will basically just turn your gusset into something that was another sub team called CNC Fabrication. They can actually make it now because the way CNC works, I'm not going to get into too much detail here, but just know that sharp corners, um, our CNC lead, his name is Andy, he will yell at you. So don't do that. Don't make him yell at you. He's not. So yeah, so you want to select all of the outer corners, right? So the corners here, all of these, and all of these three inner corners, and should be good. And now you're done. Except you're not, because we need to edit the of gussets. We usually do a light gray. This color right here, 2x1s. I don't think we've standardized it. And then this part is optional. Actually, yeah, you can leave the colors. It's not too big a deal. This part is not required, but I would still do it. Assign material for all of the parts. By the way, you have to search up in here to aluminum 6061. Scroll down a little bit, 6061, almost like 3061. And then click check mark. You could do the same thing for the other parts, and then like again, add these to a folder called arm 2x1 or no, arm gusset, and then you're done. And then we will pick up next week.